Hey guys, it is about 11:54 a.m. on this Sunday, April 7th, 2024. And yes, we are getting back to normal now. Yes, we are. As you can tell with me walking around and recording. My mom is at church right now, and this is one of the opportunities that I got that I'm able to do this. And what's crazy is I haven't been on camera recording for the past week due to the fact that she's been on break. Now, for anybody that might be new to this, that's hearing me or watching me on the other outlets out there like Pandora, Audible, Amazon Music, and iHeart, you name it. The reason I say this, it's because it's something I've gone through over the past 15 plus years on YouTube. Long story short, my mom's a Head Start teacher, and her Head Start coincides with the public schools in Livermore. So they basically have the same schedule. And when the preschools go out on spring break, not preschool, but when the public schools go out on spring break, the Head Start preschool that she works at goes out on spring break. She also has a summer vacation. She's not a year-round teacher. She's a 10-month teacher. So she's very seasonal, but full-time seasonal for 10 months. And she basically has the summer off, which is 2 months, which is basically beginning mid-June to mid-late August, if you kind of know what I'm talking about, But anyway, she takes that time off, and then of course she also has the winter break, Christmas break, just like she had this past week, the spring, Easter, resurrection break, easy for me to say. And what that does for me as a content creator is it causes me to have to work around that. Like I got to find opportunistic opportunities, very strategic wise to provide content if I hadn't already recorded and set it up to premiere during the time she's off, which I've done in the past. Because in the past, what I would do is I would upload content, weeks prior to her break. So that way during her break, whether it's the 2-month break, the 2-week break, or the week break, people can have content to view off of my channel, and I won't have to worry about being interrupted or anything like that, because there have been various times, ladies and gentlemen, to where I'll get interrupted, and yeah, it's not good. And I know I'm not the only content creator out there that's dealt with that. I'm not. I'm not the only content creator that's dealt with that. So I got to be very opportunistic, very strategic on how I provide content for you folks on these various outlets. But yeah, that's what makes it, kind of, tricky, like when it comes to doing on video camera recording, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. But when I do find the opportunities, they're great to have. Like when my mom gets immersed in watching a movie off of Netflix or Hallmark, or she's immersed in watching the San Francisco Giants play, I look at that and I'm like, okay, that's my opportunity. Now, some people might say, oh, I heard something in the background. They'll say that in the comments. And I'll be like, maybe in a reply, I'll be like, yeah, that's my mom. She's watching the game and everything. She's getting excitable. Or if I'm doing a live stream and they hear it, I'll have to say the same thing. Anyway, though, when it comes to other opportunities outside of that, I usually have to get myself, like I did this past week, I have to wheel myself up early in the morning to record content for you guys. And what I do is I get up, I turn off the front porch light, I turn off the night light over here, this little American Eagle night light, if you will. I turn that off. And then what I do, if I feel like just doing it at the same time, I go over here, I'll turn on the K machine here, I'll put a coffee in, then I'll, let it do its thing. I'll put a cup, of course, under there, but I'll let it do its thing. I'll get the creamer and the sugar ready, mix it all together afterwards, and take that coffee to my room. Or what I'll do is I'll turn off the lights first, wait a little bit in my room, come back out and get the coffee. And the reason I do that is because of, so I can have a little bit of energy going into what I got to do. Now, the reason I also look at that as an opportunity is because my mom is a deep sleeper. And when I mean deep sleeper, I'll put it this way. My middle sister likes to call, right? She likes to call, late at night sometimes. So the phone's right here. And my mom could be sleeping straight on that couch right there, and she'll get so relaxed that she'll go to sleep, and she'll end up in such a deep sleep at times that when this phone goes off, she don't hear it. But what's even more interesting is sometimes even after she gets relaxed and she talks to my sister, and then my sister's like, "Oh, I'll call you back in a little bit, Mom. I gotta go take care of this." Or, she'll say, our niece is calling her. So my mom will be like, "Okay, fine, I'll wait for it." And then she'll put the phone right down next to her, and then what will happen is she'll get relaxed again, and then go right back into sleep mode, back into deep sleep, and she'll get so deep into her sleep that when that phone rings, my sister calls back, the phone's right next to her, she don't hear it. She don't. And there have been various times, even during this week, to where we've had basically some of these, I guess you could say, spammers, portfolio calls, and all that happening. And what occurs is I have my phone right there. My phone's right here, if you will. My phone's right here. And she won't hear it because she'll be in such a deep sleep. And, she'll pretty much, not even be bothered about getting up, going like, "Oh, who was that?" and all that, because she'll be so out of it. So that's the benefit for me, wheeling myself up early in the morning, doing all that to give you guys content, outside of what I've mentioned earlier when it comes to her being immersed in something that she's watching on TV. Now, with that said, as I mentioned, outside of that, things are going to get back to normal. They're going to get back to normal, and it's going to be easier for me. Because what it allows me to do is I could put a tripod in my kitchen here. And I could have myself like for example, I can have a tripod. If you guys are listening, if you're hearing me only on some of these outlets, I could have a tripod, right next to the sink, set up, right next to the sink. And then what I'll do is I'll have myself, kind of in front, of the camera that's set up on the tripod, next to the Last Supper picture I bought for my mom, and I could do a video like that. Or what I could do is I can go outside in the backyard here, and I could set it up on the cement, and then I could record like that. Or I could walk around like what I'm doing right now, walking around the house recording. I could go outside and walk around in the backyard and do some content recording there too, without any questions or interruptions. Because if I was to do that if my mom was here, there is no way she'd let me do that, because she is a very, even though she's kind of nosy, and that's an inheritable trait she gets from my grandparents, and we get it too. Me and my siblings, that is. Even though she's very nosy and everything, she's also very private, if you will. She's kind of a very private individual. Like, she doesn't like to be seen on camera sometimes, but, what are you going to do if somebody captures you on camera by accident? They're not going to edit you out or anything. They're going to it's going to be on there. You're going to be just stuck with that for a while, and that's it. That's it. But anyway, she's a very private person, to where, it's like, there's no way she would allow me to do something like that here in the house. There's no way. There's no way she'd let me do it in the back. There's no way she'd let me do it in the kitchen. Heck, there's no way she'd let me do it in the living room, I can tell you that. But anyway, long story short, like I said, it's just, one of those situations to where I have to just work around it, and, be thankful that, I get opportunities that I do to be able to provide you guys with content. And one of those opportunities, of course, is when things get back to normal and she's back at work and I'm able to do things, kind of without, distraction, without interruption. And I say that with all love and respect for my mom, because I get why she takes these breaks. And, it is her job, as I mentioned earlier, following, along the schedule that the public schools in Livermore have. And she also deserves the break. She does. She does deserve the breaks to basically recharge her batteries, and everything, and get herself ready to go back. But what's interesting though is she was actually working on a Teachstone course. She's got a couple of courses on Teachstone she's got to complete for certificates. And she would have me help her out because she has to do it on her laptop here. She has to do it on her laptop here. Because instead of doing what I think she'd rather be doing, because I even mentioned this to her, and I could just see it in her face that yeah, she'd rather be doing it the old school way. She'd rather be doing it like, give me a manual, let me take it home, let me do it that way, kind of deal, instead of doing it on the computer. Because yeah, even though she's learning and she's getting the hang of it, it's not her real thing. It's not the thing she's more accustomed to, in my opinion. But yeah, outside of that, things are just going to be a little bit more freer as we get this week started, if you will, especially starting tomorrow. But outside of that, nothing really much going on, except we do have stuff planned. I'm assuming, by the end of this month, going into next month, me and my sister and her husband will be going out to Kansas to see my dad. So that'll be something that might happen the week of the 5th, but after the 5th. And the reason I say after the 5th is because we have a baby gender reveal to go to in Mesa, California, Rancho Cordova, California, because my nephew and his wife, my oldest nephew and his wife, are going to find out along with the rest of us what she's going to be having. And then, of course, we have Mother's Day, so it basically gives me and my sister and her husband a couple of days after that, I'm assuming, not exact, but I'm assuming from the week from the 6th to maybe the 9th to spend with my dad. But anyway,